Randasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing our discussion on Krishna Lila. And currently we're in chapter 4 of the 10th canto, titled The Atrocities of King Kamsa. So in the previous chapter, or the previous two classes, we saw the pastimes of the birth of Lord Krishna, how Krishna, he appeared in the prison cell in front of Vasudeva and Devaki, and he came in the form of a very wonderful baby, a four-handed baby. And it was mentioned that Krishna, he had shining black locks of hair. He was ornamented with beautiful jewelry and ornaments, so on and so forth. And Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they offered a series of beautiful prayers onto the lotus feet of Krishna. And then Krishna also revealed to them that in your past life you had done many austerities, and I had given you the boon that for 3 births I will be your son. So like this, it took place in the prison cell of Kamsa. And then Vasudeva, he carries Krishna from Mathura to Vrindavan. So by the influence of Yoga Maya, we saw how all the watchmen, the prison guards of Kamsa, they all fell asleep due to the power of Yoga Maya. And immediately all the shackles on Vasudeva's hands, they opened up. The doors for the prison cells, they all opened up, and Vasudeva was free to go. And we were discussing how Vasudeva, he had made a promise to Kamsa that whenever I get any child, I would immediately come and give the child to you. But now in this case, we're seeing that Vasudeva, he's breaking his promise. Although Vasudeva, he's known as someone as very truthful and honest, someone who never lies. In this case, for Krishna's pleasure, he is willing to go against his nature and willing to speak lies and act in an apparent dismoral way by breaking his promise to Kamsa. So in this way, Vasudeva, he sneaks Krishna out from Mathura and goes to Vrindavan. And yesterday we were discussing how in Bhagavatam and also in other Shastras, how it's explained that actually Krishna, he was born simultaneously from the womb of Mother Devaki and also from the womb of Mother Yasoda. So the Krishna who was born from Mother Devaki's womb, that's Vasudeva Krishna, who does his pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka. And the Krishna that was born from Mother Yasoda's womb, that's Vrindavan Krishna, who always stays in Vrindavan and never leaves. But Mother Yasoda, immediately after giving birth to Vrindavan Krishna, she gives birth to a second child, a baby girl, Yoga Maya. So actually Mother Yasoda, she gives birth to twins. First Krishna comes out, Vrindavan Krishna, then after Vrindavan Krishna comes, a little bit later, the second child, Yoga Maya, as a baby girl, she takes birth. That's why if we read verses of the Bhagavatam, it will describe Yoga Maya as Anuja. Anuja means younger sister of Krishna. So that's how she is known as the younger sister of Krishna, because Mother Yasoda, she gave birth to twins. First she gave birth to Vrindavan Krishna, then she gave birth to Yoga Maya as a baby girl. So when Vasudeva, he is carrying the Dwarka Krishna or Vasudeva Krishna to Vrindavan, he enters into the inner quarters where Mother Yasoda is situated, and he sees next to Mother Yasoda there's a child. Actually, there were 2 children, as we were describing. There is Vrindavan Krishna, the first child of Mother Yasoda, and the second child, which is Yoga Maya. But the Acharyas explained when Vasudeva, he comes to Vrindavan, he can only see Yoga Maya and he can't see Vrindavan Krishna. Because his mood is different. His mood is in that of awe and reverence. So he can't see Vrindavan Krishna next to Mother Yasoda. He can only see Yoga Maya. So he quickly places Vasudeva Krishna there, and Vasudeva Krishna, he merges with Vrindavan Krishna. But Vasudeva, he can't see all this. He can only see the baby girl, which is Yogamaya. So Vasudeva, because his vision is covered by all in opulence, he can't see Vrindavan Krishna. So he puts Vasudeva Krishna there, and Vasudeva Krishna, he merges with Vrindavan Krishna, and then he takes the baby girl, which is Yogamaya, quickly back to Mathura. So that's why we'll see in Vrindavan Lila, whenever Krishna kills any demons, it's not Vrindavan Krishna who's killing those demons, but it's actually the Vasudeva Krishna who is merged with Vrindavan Krishna who is killing the demons. Because in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, there's no demons. It's just Krishna and his devotees. So whenever it comes to killing demons, it's not Vrindavan Krishna who's doing that. It's actually Vasudeva Krishna who's doing that. And when we fast forward a bit towards the end of Vrindavan Lila, when Krishna is leaving Vrindavan to go to Mathura, at that time, Vrindavan Krishna and Vasudeva Krishna, they separate again. So at that time when Akrura, he is taking Krishna away from Vrindavan to Mathura, at that time, Vasudeva Krishna, he separates from Vrindavan Krishna, and that Vasudeva Krishna, he goes to Mathura along with Akrura. But the Vrindavan Krishna, he continues to stay in Vrindavan, but in an unmanifest state, or in an invisible state. So he's still present in Vrindavan, because as the Shastras explain, Vrindavan Krishna, he never takes a foot outside of Vrindavan. So Krishna is eternally present there. But after the pastime of Akrura taking Krishna away, Krishna is there present, Rajendra Nandan Krishna, but he's there invisible, in an unmanifest state, not showing himself to the Vrajavasis. Why? Because Krishna wants to increase the love of the Vrajavasis through love and separation, through the feelings of separation. So like this, the Acharyas help us understand the birth of Krishna. Now, one other thing the Acharyas explained is the significance of Mother Yasoda's name. So Mother Yasoda's name is comprised of two words. Yaso. Yaso means fame. And Da. Da is coming from the word Dadati. Like we have that verse from Nectar of Instruction, Dadati Pratigrinati Guyam Akyati Prichati. The 6 loving exchanges amongst devotees. One of them is Dadati, which means to give gifts and charities to Vaishnavas. So by giving gifts and charity and accepting gifts, these are 2 ways we can build loving relationships amongst devotees. So Mother Yasoda's name, she has these 2 words combined together. One is Yaso, which refers to fame, and Da for Dadati, which means to give. So literally her name means one who gives fame in charity, or one who gives fame to others. So how did she get this name? The Acharyas explained she got this name because she gave the fame of being Krishna's mother to Mother Devaki. Although she is actually the mother of Krishna, still, commonly speaking, most people, they understand Devaki as Krishna's mother. Although Yasoda is actually the mother of Krishna, Yasoda Nandan, still Mother Yasoda, she gives that fame position of being Krishna's mother to Devaki. So in general, most people, they understand that actually Krishna is Devaki's child, but he was put in the care of Mother Yasoda. Mother Yasoda, she was just the foster mother. So in this way, Mother Yasoda, very liberally, she gives the fame of being Krishna's mother to Mother Devaki. So because of that act of charity, Mother Yasoda, she has this name. One of the reasons she has this name of Yasoda. So this is the nature of devotees. They are just simply happy and satisfied doing service, and they don't require any name, fame, recognition for themselves. They're just happy doing service, and instead of wanting fame for themselves, they want instead to give fame to Krishna and Krishna's devotees. So that is the mood that we should cultivate. Although our conditional tendency is that, we want some recognition, we want some fame, we want some appreciation. We do some nice service, we want someone to appreciate and recognize our service. And we want some fame also in return, that, this so-and-so Prabhu is very good at this service, he's done this, that. It makes us feel good. But the nature of pure devotees is, they're just happy and satisfied, just doing seva. And instead of wanting fame for themselves, rather they're always looking to glorify other devotees. And they're always looking to put forward other devotees as better and greater. So this quality we can see with Mother Yasoda. So like this we are talking about Krishna's birth. Then Mother Durga, she appeared in front of Kamsa and she was chastising Kamsa. And then soon after that, Kamsa, he becomes repentant. And he starts pleading for forgiveness. And Bhagavatam explains, he even falls down at the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki and starts begging for forgiveness. And Devaki and Vasudeva, they're so kind-hearted as devotees. Although Kamsa had killed 6 of the children, they immediately forgive Kamsa. They immediately forget whatever ill things Kamsa has done. They immediately let go of any grudges and they forgave Kamsa. Then Kamsa, he got relieved a bit of his guilt. Then he goes and then he starts talking to his ministers, starts relaying to his ministers what has happened. So that's where we're up to now in Bhagavatam. So this is from text 25 onwards in 4th chapter. So Kamsa, he then goes to his ministers, has a meeting, and he relates to them, that so and so happened. Durga Devi herself, she appeared and she told me this, that the child who is going to kill me, he is already taken birth somewhere else. So like this, Kamsa, he narrates the whole series of events that took place to his ministers. Now when the ministers hear this, they become very grave and then they immediately advise Kamsa that if the child who is going to kill you has already been born somewhere else, then we must act immediately. We must act very quickly and find that child. So what should we do? The ministers, they then advise Kamsa that what we should do, we should go to all the nearby towns and villages, and any child which has been born in the last 10 days, we should immediately kill all those babies, we should immediately kill all those children. So like this, Kamsa's demoniac ministers, they advise like this to Kamsa: let us go, give us the order, my dear Lord. We will go out and we will kill all the babies which have been born in the kingdom in the last 10 days. So this is the nature of demons, for their own selfish purposes, they're able to commit any kind of sinful activity. So this way, the ministers, they start advising Kamsa. And they try and give Kamsa some confidence that don't worry about the demigods. The demigods, they can't do any harm to you. You're such a great, powerful fighter that just by hearing the sound of your bowstring, immediately all the demigods, they start shivering in fear. And immediately they start running away from the battlefield. That's how powerful you are, my dear Lord Kamsa. Like this, they start boosting Kamsa's false ego. And they further tell him that Vishnu, Shiva, as far as they're concerned, what can they do to you? Vishnu, as far as Vishnu is concerned, he is hiding in the hearts of all the living entities. He is Antayami, he is Paramatma. As Paramatma, he is just hidden in the hearts of everyone. What can he do to fight? And as far as Lord Shiva is concerned, Shiva, he's just in the forest meditating. He's deep in meditation, he's just in the forest, he's not going to come do anything. And Brahma is always engaged in tapasya, so he also can't do any harm to you. As far as Indra is concerned, Indra is just like a straw in comparison with you. So what can Indra do? So don't worry about the demigods, don't worry about Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma. None of them can do any harm to you. You go on with this plan. Let us go and kill all the babies that have been born in the kingdom in the last 10 days. In this way, the ministers, they advise Kamsa. And Prabhupada, he quotes one moral instruction given by Chanakya Pandit, which the ministers, they relate to Kamsa. Chanakya Pandit, he explains that 3 things in life when it comes, we should immediately act quickly and put it out. What are those 3 things? Number 1 is fire. Whenever there is any fire, one shouldn't wait, one should immediately act. Some or other, one should put away the fire. Because if there is any delay, what will happen? The fire will increase in size and grow bigger and bigger and create more and more damage. So whenever there is any fire, one should immediately act very quickly and put off that fire. Second thing, which one should immediately clear off is any debt or any debt one has borrowed from someone else. So debts, whatever debt we have taken, we should immediately act and work on a way on how to clear it immediately. Otherwise, the burden of the debt will just weigh on more and more and more, creating more and more anxiety. And if there's interest, the debt will increase more and more. So that is the second thing Chanakya Pandit says, should be cleared off immediately. Third thing he says is any disease. If we have any disease in the body, we should act immediately, go to the doctor and get immediately the cure or the medicine for the disease. Otherwise, if we don't act quickly, what will happen? The disease will get bigger and bigger, will spread throughout the body and will cause more and more damage to us. So the asuras, the demonic ministers Kamsa, they tell Kamsa that just like a disease, if you don't treat it immediately, it will just increase in size and it will ultimately result in death. In the same way, we shouldn't be callous when it comes to the demigods. We should act immediately. We shouldn't waste any time. Immediately let us go out and kill all these babies. Not only that, they start advising Kamsa that, Vishnu, he is the source of strength for all these demigods. And what gives Vishnu strength? The thing that gives Vishnu strength is the Brahmanas who are doing sacrifices. And how do the Brahmanas do sacrifices? They do sacrifices by using ghee. And where does ghee come from? Ghee comes from cows. So let us not only kill all the babies born in the last 10 days, but let us also kill all the cows in the kingdom. Because if there's no cows, there won't be any ghee. If there is no ghee, then the Brahmanas can't do sacrifice. If there is no sacrifice, then Vishnu will automatically fade away. Vishnu will also automatically die. And when Vishnu is gone, the demigods will also be gone. Like this, they come up with all these crazy plans and they start advising Kamsa. So Prabhupada explains that actually, from the talks Kamsa was having with Devaki and Vasudeva, we can see that actually Kamsa, he was a very learned person. It's not like Kamsa was just the uneducated, some tribal person with no education, no brains. But actually he was a very learned personality. Learned in the Shastras, learned in the science of body and soul, karma, reincarnation, so on and so forth. But Prabhupada explains, there was one thing wrong that went for Kamsa, which is he had bad association. Although Kamsa was very learned personally, he had very bad association around him of these demonic ministers. Because of that influence, we're going to see in Bhagavatam, Krishna book, how he'll come to do so many crazy things. So like this, the demons, they advise Kamsa. Let us kill all the babies born in the last 10 days. Let us kill all the cows. Let us go and arrest all the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas. And this way, Vishnu will be gone, the demigods will be gone, and you'll be safe. Now, as Sukadeva Goswami is reciting all this, and Maharaj Parikshit is hearing this, just like sometimes when someone is relating a story, we get really absorbed in the story. Or when we're watching, a movie or something, we get really absorbed in the story, and it's as if we're in that story. So Maharaj Parikshit, he is so intensely hearing this pastime that immediately he starts getting afraid. That, oh no, what's going to happen to Krishna? Kamsa and all of his demons, very powerful demons, they're going to go out and start killing all the babies. They're going to start killing all the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas and all the cows. How can this happen? So Maharaj Parikshit, immediately he starts getting worried. And Sukadeva Goswami, he can see, study Maharaj Parikshit face, and he can see, so much anxiety and panic is coming up in Maharaj Parikshit. So to pacify Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, he is going to recite one famous verse right at the end of this chapter. So I'll just read that verse, and that way we'll conclude this chapter and we'll go to the next chapter. So this is text number 45. Surcharged with passion and ignorance and not knowing what was good or bad for them, the asuras for whom impending death was waiting began the persecution of the saintly persons. Now this brings us to the last text. So this text is a very famous text, and through this text, Sukadeva Goswami, he pacifies Parikshit Maharaj. So text number 46. Ayushriyam yaso dharmam lokan asisa evacha hantri shayamsi sarvani pumso mahad atikrama. My dear king, when a man persecutes great souls, all his benedictions of longevity, beauty, fame, religion, blessings, and promotion to higher planets will be destroyed. So Sukadeva Goswami, he pacifies Parikshit Maharaj by telling him that don't worry, whenever any evil demoniac person, he assaults any saintly person, immediately as a result of his offense, he will lose 6 things. Number 1, Ayu. He will lose his lifespan. His lifespan will immediately reduce, and immediately death will come and take his life away. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami is pacifying Parikshit Maharaj. Don't worry, all these demons are going to go out and try and kill babies, try and harass the Vaishnavas and the cows. Because of their sinful activities, because of their offenses, don't worry, all these 6 bad things are going to happen to them. First, because of their sinful activities, their ayu or their lifespan will immediately reduce. Secondly, shriyam, which means beauty. Their beauty will reduce. Third is yaso. Yaso means fame. Their fame will go away. Third is religion. First is duration of life. Second is shriyam, beauty. Third is yaso, fame. Fourth is religion. Fifth is elevation to higher planets. So instead of being promoted to higher planets, they will go to hell and suffer even more. And lastly, number 6 is asisa, or blessings. And if we study the Shastras, we can see examples of persons who offended Vaishnavas and how they lost these 6 things. For example, for the first one, longevity, or one's lifespan. Prabhupada, he gives the example of Duryodhan, Dusasan, and all of the brothers and all of the Kauravas. Who did they insult? They insulted Mother Draupadi, who was a great Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi. And Prabhupada writes, because the Kauravas, because Duryodhan and Dusasan, they insulted such a great devotee of the Lord, automatically Krishna, he reduced the lifespan of all the Kauravas. They were supposed to live for this many years, but because of the offense at the lotus feet of Mother Draupadi, immediately Krishna, he reduced all of the lifespans, and immediately all of them were killed, whole scale in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that is one example of someone offending a Vaishnava, and as a result of that, his ayu or his lifespan gets immediately reduced. Second is shriyam, or beauty. How does one lose his beauty when he offends a Vaishnava? We can take the example from Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is one pastime of Haridas Thakur, which is given in Ancha Lila. Haridas Thakur, he was once in an assembly of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and he was discussing about the glories of the holy name. And he was explaining how the holy name is so powerful, the holy name is so potent, and that there is 3 stages of chanting. One is nama prad, when one is committing offenses. Second stage is nama bas, which is like the clearing stage, the middle stage, between chanting with offense and chanting purely, which is the third stage, Shuddhanam. And Haridas Thakur is explaining that the Hare Krishna mantra, chanting of the holy name, is so powerful. In the second stage itself, in the clearing stage itself, one's chanting might not be pure, but his chanting without offense, just in the second stage itself, one immediately gets liberation by the power of the holy name. Now in that assembly, there was one Smarta Brahmana. And this Brahmana, he got a bit offended. And he was thinking that Haridas Thakur, he's just exaggerating. And he challenged Haridas Thakur that, what you're speaking is just exaggeration. How can simply chanting Hare Krishna give you liberation just like that? This is not possible. One needs to do many, many years of austerity. One needs to do many, many years and lifetimes of studying Shastra. One has to do a lot of tapasya, penance. One has to do a lot of studies. Only then can one get liberation. How is it you're saying that you just chant Hare Krishna and you can get liberation very quickly? This is false. You're just exaggerating. If what you're saying is not true, then I will cut off your nose. Like this, he challenges Haridas Thakur. And because of that offense, later on, this Brahmana, what happens? He gets leprosy. And his whole body gets covered with leprosy. And because he had told Haridas Thakur that if what you're saying is wrong, I will cut off your nose, due to the influence of the leprosy, of the disease, his own nose fell off due to the power of the disease. You can imagine someone's nose just melting away. So in this way, that is an example of someone losing their beauty as a result of an offense at the lotus feet of a devotee. So like this, we can go through each and every one of them. Third is fame. Same way, this Brahmana previously, he was well known in society as very well educated, as a very learned Brahmana. But after this offense, after getting leprosy, he was shunned away from society. No one wanted to go near him, because if you come near him, you will also get the disease. So he was outcast from the town. So like this, if we offend devotees, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, our lifespan will reduce, our beauty will go away, our fame will go away, our religion will go away. Whatever blessings we have acquired from other persons, all those blessings will go away. And lastly, promotion to higher planetary systems, that will also go away, and we will go towards the hellish planets. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami, he's pacifying Parikshit Maharaj. That don't worry, although these demons are now going to go out and kill all the babies born in the last 10 days, although these demons are going to go and arrest all the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, although they're going to try and kill all the cows, don't worry. Very soon, because of their offenses at the lotus feet of the devotees of Krishna, all these 6 things will happen to them. Their lifespan will get taken away, their fame, beauty, religion, blessings, everything will go away, and they'll be sent to the hellish planets. So in this way, Maharaj Parikshit is satisfied or pacified. So in this way, this chapter ends. That brings us to the next chapter. Chapter number 5, the meeting of Nanda Mahārāja and Vasudeva. Text number 1, Sukadeva Goswami said, Nanda Mahārāja was naturally very magnanimous, and when Lord Krishna appeared as his son, he was overwhelmed by jubilation. Therefore, after bathing and purifying himself and dressing himself properly, he invited Brahmanas who knew how to recite Vedic mantras. After having these qualified Brahmanas recite auspicious Vedic hymns, he arranged to have the Vedic birth ceremony celebrated for his newborn child according to the rules and regulations. And he also arranged for the worship of the demigods and forefathers. So now we're going to hear description of the original Janmashtami celebration held 5,000 years ago in Vrindavan. So this festival is known as Nandotsava, the immediate day after Janmashtami, when Nanda Mahārāja and all the Vrajavasis, they celebrate the appearance of Lord Shri Krishna. And in the coming verses, we'll see how ecstatic all the Vrajavasis were for Nanda Mahārāja finally having a son. Because it's given that actually when Nanda Mahārāja and Mother Yasoda, when they got Krishna as their child, they were actually very elderly in age. It's given that for many, many years, they were trying to have children, but they just couldn't. So by the time Nanda Mahārāja, he actually gave birth to Krishna, he was actually very advanced in age. It's given for many, many years, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Mahārāja, they were trying, but they just couldn't get a child. It's mentioned they were worshipping Lord Shiva to please bless them with a child. And nothing was working out. And that time, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Mahārāja, they were living in Nandagram. And at that time, after many, many years of being unsuccessful, some of the elderly personalities in the town, they suggested an idea that maybe we should move close to the Yamuna. Because, why? Because the Yamuna is very, very sacred, and the Yamuna is very, very pure and auspicious. Maybe if we move close to the Yamuna, you might have better luck in getting a child. So like this idea came about in Nandagram. Then maybe if Nanda Mahārāja, if you move very close to the Yamuna river, then by the influence of the sacred river Yamuna, by the blessings of Mother Yamuna, you might be successful in getting a child. So when this idea went up, immediately all the Vrajavasis, they immediately moved. The whole town moved from Nandagram to Gokul, which is near or on the banks of Mother Yamuna. So I was hearing this in one class by His Holiness Nanda Mahārāja. He was explaining how much the Vrajvasis, they loved Nanda Mahārāja. That just for the sake of Nanda Mahārāja having a child, all the Vrajvasis, they shifted their entire town. The entire town moved from one village to another. Just for the sake, Nanda Mahārāja could have a child. So much deep love and affection, all the Vrajvasis, they had for Nanda Mahārāja. It's no small thing to move an entire town, from one place to another. So Nanda Mahārāja, he was explaining that this kind of deep, loving friendship and bondage we should also have in our communities. We have a big congregation here in Sydney, so many families, and just like the Vrajvasis, they're looking after each other. Okay, one family is here, Nanda Mahārāja's family, they're trying, they can't have a child, and here's a possible solution that, okay, if we move close to Yamuna, if we go to Gokul, maybe it will help them. Let us go out. Let us all move from Nandagram to Gokul to help our dear friend Nanda Mahārāja. So the whole town moves. The whole town of Nandagram moves from one town to Gokul, just for the sake of Nanda Mahārāja. So that same level of friendship, bondage, camaraderie, we need to also have, in our community and congregation. If some family is having some difficulty or needs some help, we should lend a helping hand and help devotees. We should have that same level of devotee care and friendship that the Vrajavasis have in Goloka Vrindavan. So that's why now we're going to see, now that Nanda Mahārāja finally he has got a child, immediately the whole town finally, they're like so ecstatic that finally Nanda Mahārāja, he has had a son after so many years. So the whole town is in ecstasy. And Nanda Mahārāja, immediately he starts performing the different samskaras which are needed to be performed at the birth of a child. So he starts inviting different brahmanas and he starts arranging for the chanting of different mantras, so on and so forth. We'll see in the next couple of verses. Text number 3. Nanda Mahārāja gave 2 million cows, completely decorated with cloth and jewels, in charity to the brahmanas. He also gave them 7 hills of grain, covered with jewels and with cloth, decorated with golden embroidery. This is a famous verse, text 4. Kalena snana sauchabhyam samskares tapasejaya sujyanti dane santustya dravyani atmatma vidyaya. O king, by the passing of time, land and other material possessions are purified. By bathing, the body is purified. By being cleansed, unclean things are purified. By purificatory ceremonies, birth is purified. By austerity, the senses are purified. And by worship and charity offered to the brahmanas, material possessions are purified. By satisfaction, the mind is purified. And by self-realization or Krishna consciousness, the soul is purified. So this famous verse gives different solutions to purify different things. For example, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that land and other material possessions, they are purified by the passing of time. How so? Say a certain piece of land is contaminated, like someone has passed urine or stool, or there's some blood spilled there, some kind of contamination on the land. So with the passing of time, what will happen? Rains will come, just like today. The wind will come, and with the power of the wind and the rain, that area of land will be automatically cleansed. So that is how, with the passing of time, land and other material possessions are cleansed. Secondly, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that our body is purified by taking bath, by bathing. Thirdly, he is saying, by being cleansed, unclean things are purified. Which means by certain thing is unclean, by scrubbing, using cleaning ingredients, you can purify. Then next he is saying, by purificatory ceremonies or by samskaras, birth is purified. So at the time of a child's like in Vedic culture, there's different samskaras which are supposed to be performed at different stages of life, right from the birth to as the child grows up. Before the child is born, the Garbhodhan samskara is done by the parents. And as soon as the child is born, the samskara of Jata karma, that's the name of the samskara which is performed right at the birth of the child. Then there is another samskara called Namakarana, which is like the name-giving ceremony. In the same way there is, Anaprasna. I see sometimes devotees, they do in temple. That's like the samskara of when the child eats its first grains. Then there is another samskara of when the child is just going to begin school or just going to learn how to read and write. So there's a samskara for that. So same way, there's a samskara for when one gets married. Like this throughout one's life, at different key moments in one's life, one is supposed to go through these samskaras for purification. So samskaras are another way one purifies himself. And then next, Sukadeva Goswami is saying austerity. By austerity, we can purify our senses. Then he is saying by charity. So this is important. By giving charity to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, our wealth, our opulence gets purified. And that is why we're seeing here, Nanda Mahārāja is giving 2 million cows in charity to celebrate the birth of his child, to celebrate the birth of Krishna. So these are general procedures given in Vedic culture that one is supposed to follow at different key moments in one's life. So whenever there's any celebration, one is supposed to give in charity to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Why? Because when we give in charity to Vaishnavas, Brahmanas, we please the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And when the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased, Vishnu is pleased. And when Vishnu is pleased, we get Vishnu's blessings, we get the Vaishnavas' blessings, and that on the strength of those blessings, everything, auspiciousness is created. So this way Nanda Mahārāja, he gives 2 million cows in charity. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying that when we give in charity, our wealth and opulence gets purified. And Prabhupada explains that any kind of occupation we do to get some kind of money, there will always be some fault in our endeavor. We'll always be implicated in some form of other to get some karma. For example, we might be, let's say for example, an IT professional, doing some kind of software engineering. And we might be working for Woolworths. Although we're just a programmer, working for Woolworths, the Woolworths company, they sell certain items in their stores which is considered sinful. Like in Woolworths, they sell meat and other products. So technically, we're a software engineer, but we're working for someone who is also supplying or producing things which is sinful. So there'll be some, little bad karma that will also come upon us. But Prabhupada explains that is why we should give in charity. Because this material world is so situated that no matter how we act, we'll always incur some bad karma. Prabhupada explains just by breathing, we breathe in so many germs and so many germs are killed just by breathing. So we're getting karma just by breathing. When we walk, we don't notice there's so many ants and other bugs on the ground. We accidentally kill so many living entities. So in the same way, Prabhupada is saying, just as we incur bad karma just by walking and doing ordinary things, in the same way, no matter whatever occupation we're doing, some or other, there'll always be some bad karma we will get by doing certain different occupations. We might not know it, we might be unconscious about it, but we'll be getting these bad karmic reactions. But Prabhupada explains that is why in Vedic culture, charity is advised for grastas to give to Vaishnavas. Because when one gives certain amount of his wealth in charity to the Vaishnavas, what that does, it purifies whatever wealth one has in his balance. Because technically speaking, as we're explaining, no matter whatever occupation we do, there will always be some fault in it. There will always be some bad karma. But if we give a certain portion of that in charity, then automatically whatever wealth we've accumulated, that automatically gets purified of all bad karma. So that is why Sukadeva Goswami is saying, by offering charity to the Brahmanas, material possessions are purified. So when we give in charity, whatever wealth and possessions we have, that automatically gets purified. And we get freed of any bad karma. And lastly, he is saying, by satisfaction, the mind is purified. And by Krishna consciousness, the soul is purified. So how to purify our mind? The way to purify our mind is by satisfaction, by being satisfied. If you notice your mind, if you just try and analyze the workings of your mind from third perspective, you'll notice the mind will always be dissatisfied. No matter how much we have, we always look at others and compare and think, okay, I have this, but this person has this. I wish I also had that. I wish I had this. It could be better, it could be this. Mind is always dissatisfied. No matter how much Shri Radha Gopinath give us, we'll always be dissatisfied. That is the, conditioned nature of the mind, to always be dissatisfied. So Sukadeva Goswami is saying, we should train our mind to instead be always satisfied. We do that, then our mind will be purified. His Holiness Mahavishnu Maharaj, one class he was explaining that in our life, we should be always satisfied with 3 things, and we should always be not satisfied with another 3 things. So 3 things we should always be satisfied with, and 3 things we should never be satisfied with. So what are 3 things that we should always be satisfied with? Number 1, Mahavishnu Maharaj explains, is the first thing we should always be satisfied with is our spouse or our partner. So in Vedic culture, there is no question of divorce. Husband and wife, they put aside their differences and they work together as a team to progress in their spiritual life. So that is number 1. Maharaj explains that in Vedic culture, one should be satisfied with one's partner or one's spouse. Second thing one should be satisfied with is money. Whatever money or wealth comes based on a karma, on its own accord, without too much endeavor, we should be satisfied. My Guru Maharaj explains that different devotees, they have different money karma, based on their past life. So as devotees, we shouldn't compare, us against other devotees. That this devotee has so much money, I have less money. Why is Gopinath being more merciful to them and not to me? So instead, my Guru Maharaj explains, instead of comparing the amount of money we have amongst each other, what we should be comparing is the amount of bhakti that different devotees have. Because money is, my Guru Maharaj explained, is just a byproduct of our karma. Because we're not fully pure devotees yet. We're trying to become pure devotees, but we're not fully pure yet, so we still have some karma, from our past lives. So different devotees, they have different money karma. So we can't, just say, okay, this family has so much money, that means they must be very advanced in devotional service. Why isn't Krishna giving me also a lot of money? So instead of judging and making comparison based on money between families, my Guru Maharaj is saying, instead we should compare the bhakti that different families have, the bhakti that different devotees have. Just see the bhakti of this family, They've been coming and doing seva in the temple for the last 10 years, 20 years without stopping. Just see the bhakti of this person. Every Saturday, Sunday he comes to Mangalati, although he lives 1.5 hours away from the temple, so far away, he will still, no matter whatever happens, he'll always come for Mangalati on the weekend. So this is something that we should compare and we should take inspiration from amongst devotees. As far as money is concerned, it will be different amongst all of us based on the karma. So it's not just because we have less money that Krishna doesn't love us as much as he loves someone else. That's not how we judge. The way we judge how much favor Krishna is showing to us is by the amount of devotional service we have. The more devotional service we have, the more fortunate we are. And the more mercy Krishna is showering upon us. So, not by money, okay. If Krishna gives me more money, okay, that means Krishna loves me more. No, we judge by the amount of service opportunity we are getting. So it is given in the Shastra that the most valuable thing that can be bestowed upon us is devotional service. Why? Because devotional service is so great that by devotional service one can even control Krishna himself. One time devotees, they asked Prabhupada this question, who is greater, Krishna or Krishna's devotee? And Prabhupada explained, actually, devotional service is greater. How? Because devotees, by doing devotional service, they are able to control Krishna himself. So the topmost thing in this universe is devotional service. Because through devotional service, devotees like Mother Yasoda, as we'll see in Kartik Mas, through Damodar Lila, by devotional service, devotees are able to control Krishna himself. That's why the greatest, most valuable thing one can get is devotional service. So this is the second thing Maharaj explains, we should always be satisfied. First is our spouse, second is wealth. Whatever wealth automatically comes, without too much endeavor, we should just be satisfied with it. We shouldn't over endeavor, work, like a dog, 70, 80 hours a week, doing 3 jobs, 4 jobs just to get more and more money. We're just harming ourselves, harming our spiritual lives. Just whatever is easily attainable for us without compromising on our spiritual life, we should just be satisfied with that and just accept it as Krishna's mercy. Third thing we should be satisfied with is whatever food that comes on our plate. So whatever prasad, Prem Sagar Prabhu cooks for us in the temple, whatever prasad our husband or wife cooks for us at home, we should just be satisfied and not become too moody about the prasad. Why this like this? Why less salt? Why the puri didn't puff up so nicely today? Just be satisfied. Just accept everything as Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, we'll always be unhappy. We'll always be an unhappy devotee, and we'll always be frustrated and dissatisfied. So in this way, Maharaj, he gives very nicely 3 things we should always be satisfied with. We should be satisfied with our spouse. We should be satisfied with whatever money Krishna gives us. And we should be satisfied with whatever food comes on our plate. Some days we'll get very nice food. Someday there'll be a Vyas Puja feast. We'll get pizza, we'll get samosas, pakoras, lassi, chutney, so many nice varieties. Other day, we'll come to temple, all we'll get is khichdi. And that khichdi will have less salt. But both the days, according to Shastra, we should be satisfied. So that's 3 things we should always be satisfied with. 3 things we should never be satisfied with is, number 1, our japa, our chanting of the holy name. We should never think, I am chanting good enough. Rather, we should always be trying to improve more and more. Number 2 is our study of the Shastras. We should never think, I have studied enough, I know enough. But we should continuously study and more. Try and learn more and more about Krishna and his pastimes. So we should never be satisfied with our japa. We should never be satisfied with our study of the Shastras. And thirdly, we should never be satisfied with the amount of charity we're giving. So we should never think, I have given enough charity. But rather, one is supposed to give more and more charity. So Nanda Mahārāja is an example of that. You will see how liberally he will give in charity for Krishna's birthday. 2 million cows he is giving in charity to the Brahmanas. Text 5. The Brahmanas recited auspicious Vedic hymns which purify the environment by their vibration. The experts in reciting old histories like the Puranas, the experts in reciting the histories of royal families, and general reciters all chanted, while singers sang and many kinds of musical instruments like berries and dundubis played in accompaniment. Text number 6. Rajapura, the residence of Nanda Mahārāja, was fully decorated with varieties of festoons and flags, and in different places gates were made with varieties of flower garlands, pieces of cloth and mango leaves. The courtyards, the gates, near the roads, and everything within the rooms of the houses were perfectly swept and washed with water. The cows and bulls and the cars were thoroughly smeared with a mixture of turmeric and oil, mixed with varieties of minerals. Their heads were bedecked with peacock feathers, and they were garlanded and covered with cloth and golden ornaments. So there were very beautiful decorations made all around Rajapura, and it's given how everything was very nicely cleansed. There were mango leaves spread everywhere, flower garlands, auspicious pieces of cloth. And now we're hearing how all the cows and the bulls and the calves, they were very beautifully decorated. So turmeric in Vedic culture, it's considered as very auspicious. So that's why the cows, they were smeared with a mixture of turmeric and oil, mixed with varieties of other minerals. So cows, you can imagine, all the white cows, they were smeared with yellow turmeric and oil with other ingredients. And they were bedecked with peacock feathers. You can imagine cows with peacock feathers on their head And they were also garlanded with cloth and different golden ornaments. So you can try and picture cows, in that condition. Cows with nice, beautiful golden ornaments, cows with a flower garland, cows with peacock feather on their head, and cows with turmeric oils smeared all over them. O King Parikshit, the cowherd men dressed very opulently with valuable ornaments and garments, such as coats and turbans. Decorated in this way and carrying various presentations in their hands, they approached the house of Nanda Mahārāja. The Gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yasoda had given birth to a son. And they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Their lotus-like faces, extraordinarily beautiful, being decorated with saffron and newly grown kumkum, the wives of the cowherd men hurried to the house of Mother Yasoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried along. Okay, it's 8:30. We'll stop here. We'll continue the chapter next week. Nantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagur Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Thai Gaur Premanande.